Welcome to the Seven Figure Builder Show. My name is Julie Baranek, founder of Seven Figure Builder, where we help high achieving CEOs work smarter, not harder, with gorgeous systems to scale to seven figures and beyond. And I'm here today with my friend, Sarah Jansel. Hey, Sarah.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thrilled to have you on today. So, first off, where in the world are you?
Okay, so I am in London, Ontario, which is just outside Toronto area for those to give a big landmark for that'll make sense.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. And for people that have not had the pleasure to meet you yet, can you tell us just a little bit about what you do with your business?
Absolutely. So I'm the CEO of Jansel and Co. And what we do is we help clients build, brand, and grow awesome websites. And we primarily work on two platforms because I run my business on both of those, which is Shopify. So we do a lot of e-commerce. That is our primary division. And we also work on Kajabi. So we have a lot of service providers and coaches that we work with as well.
Awesome. And can you just, for people that aren't familiar with the platforms, kind of spell out what are the differences? Where would you lean one towards the other?
Absolutely. If you have a product that you're looking to sell, whether that's digital, physical, print on demand is really big, basically any sort of product that you want to get into the hands of consumers, then Shopify is the number one platform that is out there that will help you do that and help you sell in a number of different places like social media and all the things. So that is something that I would consider if you're in the market for that. And on the Kajabi end of things, typically we have a lot of coaches, service providers, or educators, basically people who want to sell a coaching program, a course, may also have some form of digital product like a lead magnet or things like that. So that's kind of the difference we're looking at. It's like half product, half service.
Nice. And Shopify can be either a digital product or a tangible product, right? You could go either route.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. And how do you help people with that? Like, do you do everything from design to implementation to marketing? Or like, where are you in that mix there?
Oh, yeah, great question. So we've kind of grown, to be honest, because I find, what we see with a lot of clients and how I felt myself when I got into building a fashion business, and that's kind of my first introduction to Shopify a few years back, was you're kind of always looking for someone to help you with a thing, but it turns out that you need to have a lot of different persons for a lot of different things. And so what we've tried to do is bring in the pieces in-house that make the most sense. So we will help clients build brand identities. So logo design, that's not me. We actually have a amazing brand guru on our team who is specialized in that, any graphic design, packaging, like those types of things. So that's usually where clients need to start, is to kind of nail that part down. And then we will help set them up on the platform that they need to sell the thing that they are looking to get into the hands of consumers. So we do, our bread and butter is a lot of new Shopify store builds, but we also do a lot of redesign work where people are looking to make changes and that kind of thing, or custom work. Like, hey, I have a store or I have a Kajabi website, but I'm looking to scale in this fashion. So we do a lot of that. And then we also have social media and marketing partners, SEO partners that are our like top recommended partners in these areas that we can help introduce clients to, so that you don't have to kind of go out and look for that on your own. Or if you're looking to do ads and things like that, we have a set number of partners that we work with that we believe are really great at what they do in these capacities, and so they can work with our partners on that as well. So we try to be a bit full circle. And then on the marketing side, what we do in-house is a lot of the email setup. So whether it's Kajabi, which would be all in that platform, or it's an email marketing and automation, aka make money in your sleep, work easier, sleep
Mhm.
better kind of system. We work on Klaviyo and Omnisense, so we are partners for that as well. So we can pretty much help you brand, get it set up, get your email marketing set up, and then introduce you to the right people that you need to talk to help you on the day-to-day marketing end of things.
Awesome. And you brought up a really good point that a lot of times, at least what I've seen too, is people need that help when they start up. And then they also need that help a couple years in when they realize, okay,
Yeah.
this is really what I'm doing. And now let me polish it. And it may be a rebrand, a refresh, or whatever, or just enhancements to your platform, enhancements to your brand, your services. And oftentimes it's a really smart time to take another look at what you're doing and bring in somebody that's an expert and really help polish it so you can shine.
Yeah. And I always tell clients, like, don't ever be freaked out about the fact that, like this isn't like a forever ever investment. It might seem like that, but anybody that has a website has hopes and goals and dreams, and you might put together something really amazing, but then you or your business or something in the market or your customer changes and things like that. So it's okay to want to make those changes down the road. And it's likely that you probably will. I don't know a single brand out there who's not making adjustments or, different things to their email list or their website and things like that. So don't ever feel like you have to get everything right. Of course we want to get it right, the first time, but you don't have to put so much pressure on yourself that this is something that can't be adjusted over time.
Yeah. No, it's a constant
Yeah.
evolution. I think in every business, at least especially for smart business owners, that they look at the market, they look at what their clients are asking, and they're constantly making it better and better every single day to be more successful over the years. So no, I totally agree with you. So how, you do a lot of implementations, but how have systems and automations helped save you time in business or for, saving time for your clients? Like, what do you guys see with that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I would say the number one thing when it comes to clients and especially on the e-commerce side is really taking a look at what are they doing around email marketing. Like I can't harp on that enough. And I would say SMS is in that mix as well. I think email is definitely a place that you need to be if you're not in any of those spaces. And it's great if you're sending out campaigns and things like that. But that's kind of like your marketing strategy. The remarketing and some of the automations or some of the like work smarter pieces would come into the things that we set up once, and we personalize it to whatever's going on with your brand. So really simple ones that are most common are like welcome emails,
Mhm.
when someone subscribes, a series of things that we want to let them know about our brand, abandoned carts, browse abandonment. If you're going to send ads, this is one of the number one things I actually see missing, because a lot of times you'll get clicks, but if somebody gets distracted or the dog barks or something like that, the odds are they're not actually coming back. So it's almost like a little bit of waste. So just a little follow through on that. Post-purchase follow-ups are huge. If there's things you can do, like there is no hotter lead than the person that just bought from you for
Yeah.
sure. And then, what are some other pieces of value that you can really bring to the table based on something that you offer, whether it is a free lead magnet of some sort where someone takes a quiz or they've downloaded something from you, or it's a product that they've purchased. What else can we tell them about that, or what else could we educate them with, or what would go together with that, or just things like that, I think are really the dial turners for keeping your engagement or your audience really engaged and doing things outside the regular campaigns that you might be more accustomed to.
Yeah. And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, email is one of the top rated return on investment means of marketing that you can do in your business. And I think it's so underrated as well. In that, you can set these things up and that they run over and over and over. And then you're building out your architecture and your structure and like things that can help you build your business, that you don't have to send every single individual email to each individual person. And it takes so much off your plate. And then you can work on building that whole world, your empire, instead of just, nurturing those clients over and over and over again. But in reality, they are getting nurtured. They are, getting accustomed to you. So I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, and the other point I would make just to add on to that would be that these are, owned assets, like owned
Right.
client lists. And unlike a lot of other platforms or places that we show up in social and things like that, which, I will rave, till the cows come home about all of those things and places, like you should definitely be showing up where your customer is. But, really having access to that kind of thing to foster community is going to be, a game changer for you. And you're not always having to feel like, you've got to follow an algorithm or you've got to do this or you've got to do that. It's like, how can you just be your best with the people who are truly interested in your stuff and start growing that list?
Totally. Yeah. And ultimately, your number one goal of social media should be to get them off of social media and into your
Yes.
email list. Because if you get locked out of Facebook tomorrow, you have nothing. Like, I just can't stress that enough to people, that you want to be growing that email list and then using that email list and not just letting it sit there and collecting leads and growing stagnant, like actually do something with it. So, yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
So you are a big into speaking, right? I've heard that you like to do speaking engagements and have had more and more. Can you tell us how you got started with that or what you enjoy about
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, there has been no shortage of me doing
it?
that over the years. So a little back history on me. I actually worked 20 years in corporate. So, banks, consulting firms. I worked for Carfax, which you have in the US, and also I was the head of people and operations for the Canadian division. So naturally, just doing some of the jobs that I did, there was a lot of speaking involved to employees, in-house workshops to partners and things like that. And it's one of those things where I feel like either you really like doing it or you kind of know you need to do it, but you're a little bit fearful.
Yeah.
And I tend to fall on I actually love being on the stage kind of side. So that I figured, when I started my own business and became an entrepreneur back in, well, I guess it would be 2018, I started my fashion business. I left corporate in 2020. So, I've been running my own businesses for a few years now, and that just felt really natural. I was getting out, I was doing workshops. Of course, a lot of things are virtual, for a long time. So that's kind of been something I'd love to do. And it's a great way for me to get out and really start to build rapport and credibility with people in an awesome way outside of even, email and social and all of those things. I just think you make a bit of a different connection with people when you're speaking in a more intimate type of setting. So that's been really cool. And then last year, I decided, you know what, I'm actually feeling like I want to get out and do a lot more in-person stuff. So I'm going to make this kind of, one of the goals in my business is to get out and really start to connect with different communities of people. And one of the things in that is just feeling a lot like, having gone through corporate for, as long as I did and having a lot of entrepreneurial dreams over the years and chose a lot of different paths that kind of did that, but didn't totally until I jumped in full is, I want to start to inspire people to feel like you can actually do this. You can actually get out there and build a business that you love. If there's, some sort of tickle in your ear telling you should do it or a dream on your heart, then you should feel encouraged that you absolutely can do this. So I've started to do a lot more of that. And I'm actually hosting my own event to do my keynote speech locally here in London in May. But, conferences and things like that are going to be, somewhere that I'll be seen out in the future.
Awesome. Congratulations. That's really exciting.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I'm seeing a trend for that as well, of the live events, that people are really craving that interpersonal connection. And like, we've been doing this Zoom thing for so long now, and it's so nice to actually see people in real life. And I enjoy
Oh my
this very
gosh.
much, but like, there's nothing like that true human connection. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I was just at an event in Palm Springs and I feel like that was one of the huge things. And I mean, the speaking part's great too, but then, what happens after that?
Right.
And, when you're going for lunch and you're just, yeah, I really do feel like people are craving that because you're connecting with people on a different level for sure.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So your career has obviously taken different twists and turns, as all of ours have, but what are the main beliefs that you have as far as the trajectory of your success? Like, what has really driven you in that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So the first belief, and actually my keynote covers four. So there's kind of
Nice.
four big ones that I have. But the main one for me that I think is kind of the backbone of a lot of things that we do and what I do want to help inspire people to be aware of is I really think that the ceilings that we create or the ceilings that we have are ones that we've created. So, do we allow ourselves to believe that we can, be a CEO of a company or, chase down a dream job or open up a product based business and sell it our products or, be a speaker or whatever, the dream actually is. A lot of times we get in our own way, a lot of those times, Or we find a lot of really external reasons for why certain things aren't happening. That's not to say that there aren't challenges, because let me tell you, I have certainly been met with adversity over the years and had to climb a lot of hills to do certain things. But, the backbone of that is having the belief that if you really want to do that, there is a way that you can get there. And just knowing that that is a big part of things, I think oftentimes is the hugest, hill that we have to overcome. And in fact, while I'm saying this, even as there's challenges coming up day to day, it's not like, oh, I always believe in myself and I'm going to be able to do this. It's a check-in, right? Like you're going to bump up against things. Like, can I do this?
Yeah,
Asking
totally.
yourself, right? So I feel like, just remembering that a lot of times we put ourselves in a box and we don't necessarily allow ourselves the opportunity or have enough belief to say, no, I actually see myself in that and I can do this. So I think that's a really big one. The other one is, and it kind of ties on to this, this belief here is that a lot of times in life, we feel like it's too late to change. So, 20 years in corporate career, top of my game, okay, what is she doing? She's going to go start a fashion business on the side. Like, what's happening? Right.
Yeah.
And so where's this going? Right. And then I left my corporate job, really took a leap in the pandemic, because actually starting that thing, after that period of time, and trust me, I felt a lot of the time like, why am I going to leave this VP job? Like, this is what I've been working for all of my life, but it's not really lighting me up in the ways that I really want it to. And so I know that life could look different. And what am I willing to do here? Am I willing to just kind of stay in this lane or, play something that's a little out of my comfort zone? I asked myself a lot of times, is it too late? Like, have I waited too long? And the answer is no. Like, it is never too late. If you can take anything away from that, I don't care how old you are, what you're doing. If there's something that you want to do, I think it's giving yourself the permission to say that, I don't have to do this or this. Maybe I do this and this, which I did for a while, to kind of get my footing. But if you truly believe that you want to do something, just go for it, right? Like, life's way too short for us to believe that we can't.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. And I think you hit that on the head of it comes back to fulfillment. Like, you need to do what truly fulfills you and what drives you. And if there is that calling, that longing in your life, then absolutely, I would echo that. So go get it, Like, so often we let the fear of failure or speed bumps in our road get in our way. And they're not personal, like, they're growing experiences, and we need to just keep on moving, and eventually we'll get into that lane that we need to be in. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And I think, the number one thing, kind of how the ceiling, we put on ourselves and the too late to change ties together is really within our inner talk track, is what I find a lot of times. Like, when I was thinking about, making big, bold moves, just up and quitting my job and starting something out of nothing, there were many times that I sort of tried to talk myself out of this, or think, to your point about failure, like, what if I fail? Like, what are people going to think? Like, am I going to be able to do this? And, all the things. And the reality is I was the only one who thought that.
Yeah.
There were other people who were like, look at this amazing thing you're doing. So I think we're really hard on ourselves sometimes, no matter how big or small the change is. And so if you can just have a little faith and kind of know that whatever your brain's telling you isn't always the truth, then you'll probably be okay.
Totally, totally. So looking at your corporate career and your entrepreneurial career, what do you define as success? What does that look like for you? And
Oh my
life in
gosh.
general, because it's, there's so much involved in it. It's not just corporate.
Yeah, it's doing what feels good to you, is what I would say about that. And I know that's a big, lofty answer, but I'll put some legs under that to make that feel real. For me, from a very young age, and this is part of my keynote as well, I talk about how at 16, my mom was quite ill. And what happened was that I actually ended up out on my own, like literally homeless. And I had a decision, like in a moment's notice, like, here's your stuff, Sarah, good luck, and couldn't deal with that. And I felt like, okay, in that moment, this is crazy. But, I can sit here and decide either I'm going to be like homeless or a success. And so I really took the road of like, this isn't my life. Like I want more out of this. And so when I said I climbed a lot of hills, there were a lot of things I had to do that. But in doing that, and because of that life circumstance, I really felt as though I chose a really safe path, and in that sort of thing happening, it was like, what can I do that's going to bring me safety and security and all those things? So, when I talk about banks and consulting firms and all the things and HR and all of that, that was stability, security, and it was wonderful. And I learned so much from that. But what I wanted to do before that happened, before I had this kind of life event that made me be like, okay, I need to figure this out and choose like pretty quickly,
Yeah.
is I really wanted a creative job. I loved fashion. I was heavily into art. I was doing a lot of portrait work and things like that. Like I saw a lot of different things that I wanted to do, and I just had to throw that on the back burner. But what happens, and if anybody's had this happen, maybe not necessarily as extreme as my situation, but if you've ever had to kind of shelve something that you love, over the years, that thing, I will guarantee you, and if you're listening to this and it's happened to you, it will continue to haunt you. And you will think, okay, there were moments in my life throughout the years where I would think, okay, well, maybe I'll do this little modeling thing on the side, or okay, maybe I'll check out this course, at this college, or, I just naturally did, creative things on the side. But when it came to actually being like, maybe I can make a career out of this, I would quickly talk myself out of it. Like, oh, that's crazy. Like I needed this safety and security. But later in life, there will come a point, and for me, it was like, okay, I have this safety and security now. Like I'm doing okay. Everything's good. But I'm still feeling like this. It's kind of like the feather and the brick. Like I'd had the tickle in my ear over the years, but the brick was like, Sarah, you're not actually happy. You need to actually make a decision here. That was to pursue something more creative. So there's a great mix in what I do now, right? The design aspect of things, that's very creative, working with clients and helping them create their dream businesses online. That's awesome. But I also have this backbone of all the things that I learned over the years about, building really amazing businesses. So I feel like, for those that are out there thinking about what they want to do or kind of where they're at on certain things, like listen to that voice, because there's probably a reason that it's playing a little tune for you, and a great opportunity to think about what you could do about that.
Absolutely. And those things so often, like you said, they don't go away. It's that burning in your heart that you have to follow it at some point, whether it's now or later, it's going to follow you at some point. So yeah, that's really awesome that you were able to make that leap and that successful transition from one to the other. That's really awesome.
Yeah. Years in the making, but we got here.
Yeah, totally.
We got here.
And a lot of times it is. It looks like online things are overnight, and they're not. We only see the tip of the iceberg. You don't see the years of hard work that led to that success. And it's truly not what it looks like online. Like you just see, the glimmer at the top. You don't see everything else underneath. So it's important for us to remember that. So working in corporate and your own business, having all of that under your belt, what would you say makes a good leader, and what have you, strived to bring into your own career, as far as leadership and leading your team?
Yeah. Well, first of all, a team it would be the huge thing. I mean, obviously, as I was getting started, a lot of it was me, and, figuring out the idea, and how is this going to look and all the things. But, I know where my limitations are, right? I even said it earlier, like, I don't do the brand. Lauren on my team is the genius. Lauren does the brand, right? There are certain things that, I work on with my team in regards to some of the design, but there are limitations to some of the things that we do. So, I have somebody on my team that does very custom work and things like that. So, I think one of the first things is knowing where your, limitations start and stop, and how you can bring people into your business that just have a very different vantage point or a skill or an experience that can really add to that. And not only from the team dynamic dynamics perspective, but also to the client.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think perspective is a huge thing that we often miss, and a lot of entrepreneurs often miss in our businesses because we typically are working very solo in some cases. So when you can bring different viewpoints to the table, you know, and kind of toss ideas around, that you're definitely, I guarantee you're going to come out with, you know, a different or a better type of outcome. So that's been really huge for me. I also feel like I have sort of a really good blend of, you know, this creative and vision and, you know, all the things that we want to do and get out and speak and all these things. But I also had a lot of really, I joke that I trained like an Olympian for my corporate job.
Yeah.
And I really did, right? Like the spreadsheets, you know, understanding, you know, how to read financial statements, like just all the things that need to kind of go into that backbone of business. So it's like, you know, yeah, I know what we need to do, but like, how can we do this and actually have some fun with it? So I think those things have really helped me over the years, having the good people, having the right structure, but also knowing that like this was kind of supposed to be fun too. So
Yeah. Totally.
yeah.
No, I always believe that it's so important as you're growing your team to bring in people that complement your weaknesses. And the first step is acknowledging them and recognizing them so that you know what you need to bring in to make your whole team stronger and to serve your clients better and enhance your services. And just, you don't have to do everything and you don't have to be the expert in everything. And I think the quicker that we can recognize that and like bring those people in to help us out, I think the more successful we can be.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too, on that note, Julie, is like the community. So even you with your podcast and the community you're fostering, and you know, being an entrepreneur, sometimes you might be like, well, I don't, you know, maybe I'm not prepared, you know, to bring on so many more people onto my team. But like, what does your community actually
Yeah.
look like? Because I know in corporate I had a community, and now I have a community, and they do look very different because I'm tapping into, you know, different types of skill sets or mindsets, or I'm looking at venturing down new paths. And so I think, you know, focusing on building the community of people who are around you to support the thing that you're dreaming about is also really going to help you get to that next level too.
100%. No. And that's honestly, I think my favorite part of the podcast is just connecting one-on-one with people and like doing a deep dive to better understand what it is that people do in their business and the awesome skills that they have to offer and just getting to know, you know, some amazing people out there. So I agree with you totally. So you mentioned a really important thing, but how would you encourage business owners to have fun in their business again? You mentioned it has to be enjoyable, right, for us to want to keep doing it. So what would you suggest for people?
Yeah, I would say I kind of fell into the trap early on when I was building my business of how I thought things should be, not how they needed to be for me and my
Right.
clients. And so I think, you know, when I started out, I really had a lot of that corporate mindset. And I, not that I necessarily had to do some unlearning, but I almost needed to let go
Mhm.
of some things, because just because I did something a certain way didn't mean that it was the right thing for me. And in fact, most of us start our businesses in some capacity because we believe that we do want to do things a little bit different. So, you know, I had a really great friend and a mentor at the time when I was at the very early stages of things. And I knew there were certain things I needed to put in place to start to familiarize people with me and my business and, you know, kind of get my name out there and things like that. And so I was discussing some of the approaches I was considering taking with these, you know, things I was working on with this coach. And she was like, you know, I said, what do you think? Like, I feel like I should do it this way, or this way. And she's like, Sarah, you've said to me a few times now, I feel like I should, you know, I feel like I should do this. And she's like, are you having fun? I was like, well, now that you say it, not really. I'm kind of just doing this, you know,
Right.
a certain way because I feel like I should. Like
Right.
literally what I said to you, right? I feel like this is the right thing to do, right? Like we'll put air quotes around the word right. And she said, don't forget that you're the business owner. And at the end of the day, it's really you do it how you think you should do it. Like
Right.
that's kind of the point, right? So that hit me, and that was very early on. And I'm so thankful that she said that because I probably could have went down a path, right? And so I try to remember that in everything that we do, you know, whether it's client service for my clients, you know, if we want to do something a certain way or we want to host a certain event, if I want to do my podcast and I want to interview people, you know, of a certain background and do certain things and have really fun conversations about what they're creating, you know, it's really about kind of trying to bring the things that light you up, I think, into your business, whatever those things are going to be, but not feeling pressured to do things because you should.
I love it. Absolutely. No, and that also helps keep you in the visionary role in your business instead of getting caught in the weeds, is you can focus on, instead of what I should be doing, what I want to be doing, where I want this to go, and then having those people to support you. So I think that's so powerful. So you've got a lot of things going on. What can people expect from you next?
Yeah, oh my gosh. So definitely more on the speaking front. I am starting to talk a lot more about these beliefs and some of the things that I experienced through my life and career. And I think the podcast and some of the events that I'm going to be doing and the socials and things, you're going to start to see a little bit of a shift there, which is nice. And I feel like although I went through a bunch of different things over the years, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this in their own careers, it's not necessarily been something that I've brought to the forefront. Like I've just been really focused on the thing I'm building, kind of heads down. And so I feel like bringing this out, I'm hoping is going to relate to a whole different stream of audience. And again, just really encouraging people as I'm in the business of helping people realize their dreams and, build things and start to, get their products and services out there online. I'm like, people are doing this, like you can do this too. So I'm really hoping to get that message out a little bit more. And of course, with our services and things, we've been expanding that in our team. So, our capabilities have been growing and, very bespoke work and new clients and things. So, I'm sure that will continue to grow. But yeah, reach out to me if you have any questions, or don't be a stranger if you're hearing this and you have a question about something I said.
100%. Yeah. No, and I
Yeah.
think that's really cool to be able to take a step back. Like so often we get so heads down and so focused on what we're doing, what we're building, like you mentioned, that it's really cool to take that step back and say, okay, what is the bigger picture that I'm trying to accomplish here? And, like you mentioned about sharing your beliefs and your why and, why you want to do what you're doing, I think really will connect with people even more than they already do connect with you, which I think is really awesome.
Yeah.
So very cool. So if you had the attention of the whole world for 5 minutes, what would you tell them?
Oh my gosh, that's a good one. I would really tell them to listen to what's on your heart and don't be afraid to do it because of what other people might think or what you think is the right thing. Like just do it anyway. Just do it anyway.
That's awesome. Yeah, totally. And you mentioned earlier too, like we're so hard on ourselves so often, and we think that's what other people think. And in reality, it's really not. It's just us being hard on ourselves. And the more we
Yeah.
can get out of our way, I think the better off we can be.
Yeah. And you might change it later anyway. And that's okay too.
Exactly. Because you
That's okay
can.
too. Yeah.
So how can listeners best support you in your work? Where can they find you online? And we'll have all the links down below.
Absolutely. I mean, I probably hang out on Instagram the most. So you can find me at Sarah Jansel if you're interested in seeing more about what I speak on or our services and things like that. Our website at janselandco.com. So www.janselandco.com has all that stuff and more.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thank you, Sarah, for being on today. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you. Oh my gosh, I love this forum that you're creating. So thank you.
Thank you. And for anyone listening that you found value in this episode, please do share it because that's how people find us. And you can find me at sevenfigurebuilder.com. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.